Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of our run through the Rayquaza Cup number 10 battles that I did with the usual suspects. If you remember, we were a 3-stack from this tournament, and this time we got paired with these two individuals, RE408 and K-Twist. Now, the bans ended up being rather strange for this one. I'm going to skip past the draft phase to make this video go a little quicker. So, a lot of us ended up with very powerful picks. Ari and K-Twist locked in Tyranitar and Wigglytuff from very early on. They were the last picks, but these picks weren't stolen. They're going to be our top laners. Now, if you might notice, something that changed from the last two games to this one is Thundertoes is no longer on Inteleon. Now we have this Venusaur. This is a Pokemon that he's felt really good on earlier in the season since the buffs to Sludge Bomb. And he had claimed that Inteleon hadn't been feeling completely right to him in the last two games. Now, we had been playing Inteleon because it had a really great showing at the World Championships, if you remember our reasoning. However, not everyone can be Toonslim or Rom, and so sometimes snipe shots don't hit, and Venusaur is just this source of really insane damage, and sometimes that's just what you need to win games that get a little bit scruffy or a little bit more out of control than what you would rather have, you know? So that's why we're going to have a lot of these really strong picks, but you're going to notice that our opponents are also going to have some really strong Pokemon, including Ceruledge, Eldegoss, Gyarados, and Ho-Oh. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start us off. As usual, we are going to be heading to the bottom lane, Thundertoes and I. Now, I'm getting better and better as I play Umbreon at realizing exactly what the perfect world in terms of stacking looks like, and what I can get away with, what I can't, weighing the opportunity cost of certain actions. And one thing that I was not very clean on still at this stage of the tournament is conserving the X-Speed. Here I use X-Speed to run past Eldegoss, and he did the same thing to me. If I had noticed that his plan was the same as mine, I would have just held on to that X-Speed, and it's a guaranteed get-out-of-jail-free card if I need to stack again. Now, one of the options I could have had was to try and secure some of their farm, but I didn't want to let Tito's leave him alone as a Bulbasaur, who is not as strong at securing as Sobble was. But I don't know if you caught this. This was a really good Razor Leaf secure over here. As we were fighting for the top Indeedee, I tried to come in and secure, but Thundertoes here goes from 9 energy to... I'm sorry, he got to 9 energy. He had gone from... Here it is, 4 energy to 9 energy. So he secured the mid Indeedee, which is fantastic. Eldegoss got a stack off on us, but didn't take any of our farm. Of course, I didn't take any of their farm, but we got the Indeedee. This is really good, especially because Ho-Oh and Eldegoss are really strong in the early game. Now, if we can somehow secure this mid Indeedee, that'd be fantastic. I pulled off for a second there to see if maybe I could wind around for another stack, but I changed my mind after I started taking a few hits. And then here, we're going to see another perfectly timed Razor Leaf to secure yet another mid Indeedee. This is fantastic, and now we've got gank support. So I run over here, and I make a big mistake here. I should have pulled back immediately upon seeing these two, and I stayed, hopefully fooling them into thinking that I wasn't in that bush, because sometimes you can throw an attack into a bush, and if the opponent doesn't react and jump out of the bush, then you think he's not there. But I didn't pay attention to the fact that Pomoni had seen me go into this bush, and I take a little bit more damage than I should have, and that's important, because now I wasn't able to deal any damage back to them, and I'm going to show up in a compromised position to these mid-birds, which I absolutely need the XP from. Now, luckily, because I had gank support from our jungler Sokovan here, we do get enough to evolve me, and now with Foul Play, it's easy. Go in, get 5, and of course I have X speed, so I can't get punished for stacking this time. So everything is going really well. The only thing that could be going better is me having slightly more stacks, which sometimes happen, but I really can't count on that. So all things considered, we're doing really well in this bottom path here. And we do have K-Twist on a Pupitar up there. Now, we're not going to see our two allies for a long time. We just have to hope that they're holding their own. And I did see Pupitar kill a Magikarp earlier. So really good. Get another stack here. The stuns Pomoni there from the second Foul Play, and I'm able to steal a berry. I don't know if I would have made it. It would have been fantastic if I had stolen both berries. If both of their berries are gone, sure, I might die, but then their position is less defensive at their goal if they get attacked. Then again, Blaziken and Venusaur are a little bit late game heavy, so I don't know if we're going to be doing any gold diving anytime soon. At this time, I'm going to just try and stay alive, and Foul Play comes back right at the right moment. And here's a Salak Berry, and I make a quick getaway. So here is where I run into the first fight. Everyone was very disciplined at getting to these mid-birds. So here is where we're going to see the very first battle between Sokoven on Jungle Blaziken and Coldest World on Jungle Ceruledge. Arguably the two most powerful Pokemon in the game here, going head-to-head as the two junglers. Really, really awesome match. And I show up here, barely any HP left, but I have my Fake Tears. Foul Play's about to come off cooldown. I have 3 stacks. I'm saying, why not? I might as well see if I can turn this tide. So let's see what I can do here. Unfortunately, I'm a little late with that Foul Play. I do cause a distraction over here and getting chased. I'm going to try and make it to the Salak Berry, but Ceruledge is a little too strong, chops me down. However, because I got that little bit of a distraction there, that was time that the Ceruledge was not spending attacking the Blaziken. So now Sokoven goes back to the center. Unfortunately, he has to contain not only with Coldest World, but also Po Money. What's unfortunate for those two is that Thundertoes had just made it from the bottom lane all the way to the center. And you're going to see right here, as I'm dead, the secure on Coldest World. And, well, Tara also secured the Gyarados up there. And then got killed. And there it is. Po Money on the Ho also goes down to our Venusaur. If you look here, Sokoven's level 7, which is fantastic. But Thundertoes is a higher level 7, which is so good. When your jungler has been doing fine, but your bottom laner or top laner are doing just as well, if not better, that means that your laning phase has gone stupendously. And now I've got my Wish, I've got full build, I've got Foul Play. Unpaid Rent here cannot stop me from getting the 4th stack. I have my X speed. So Ceruledge actually has really good speed and is able to chase me down. And this is actually really fascinating. So I'm going to rewind here so we can see exactly what happened. I thought I was going to get away scot-free. I did not see Coldest running down here. My XP does not quite work against a Ceruledge level above me. So none of these 3 opponents apparently had known that Sokoven had hidden away in their bottom bush. So he was charging up an Overheat and is going to hit all of them. But unfortunately, as I got killed, none of their HP bars went down at all. They were coming from their side of the map. So this Overheat, even though it's going to be big, it's not going to kill anyone or get them all in kill range at all. It is going to stop them from chasing Thundertoes, which is going to allow him to reposition and start launching off Solar Beams, right? Because remember, we're fighting after these birds. That's a lot of XP. Every piece of farm that you secure is not only 5 experience going your way, or whatever, however much XP it's worth. It's also 5 that did not go your opponent's way, so it's like a 10-point swing, right? So that's why birds are so important. And so Sokoven is going to be risky here and still dive straight into the birds, where Coldest is. And what's going to end up happening is I think we do share the birds here in this fray. And unfortunately, even though the Ceruledge was just about to go down, Blaziken runs out of moves, gets killed right here by the Ceruledge, who then reaches level 8 and immediately gets basic attacked to death by the Venusaur, who then himself reaches level 8, is able to retreat. Now I'm running down here to the bottom lane. We have a huge advantage. It sucked to give the jungler XP to the Ceruledge there, but it must have sucked for them to give their jungler XP over to our bottom laner, because we've almost got a level 9 Venusaur. That's Verdant Anger level right there. So now we're going to have to be really wary. Luckily, we still had this goal, so Po Money and Unpaid Rent weren't able to push into a Venusaur on his own pad. I'm able to get my 5th stack here. We're almost completely done, and ooh, 6th stack. So this is something that I think my opponent Unpaid Rent messed up on here. When I was coming up from the top, they were farming this Bunnelby. And they stopped farming it. I don't know what they thought was going to happen, because if I was going to hit the Bunnelby, I would have just secured it. But they turned around and focused their attention on me. You can't stop me from scoring 5 here, not these 2 Pokemon. And now I get a free chance at stealing that Bunnelby, which is unfortunately for them exactly what happens, which means my 6th stack is guaranteed. Now my X speed isn't on cooldown, but they don't have Coldest World to help them here anymore, so their chase is actually really bad. So I get away scot-free. They're still getting Solar Beams launched at them. Now, here the play pattern becomes very, very important for the next few minutes. I have to keep this Venusaur alive. I almost called it this experience. That's almost what's happening here, right? Thundertoes is just carrying so much experience on his back because no one on the opponent's team is anywhere close to his level. I cannot let him go down because that's so much experience. Here I use Foul Play very defensively. I pushed into him, but it was more so to push him away from Venusaur. Right now we're just zoning. We're waiting for help here because we don't want to 50-50 this at the Reggie fight. So unfortunately, the numbers end up working a little bit better for our opponents there, and they do end up using that Regieleki to crush our first goal. That does open up catch-up experience, which is going to be really good for our Tyranitar. I wasn't too upset about this. I understand that Tyranitar is not picked to be an early game monster. And I hope they weren't too upset at us for holding our ground over here. Sometimes that happens. Ooh, we've got the Ceruledge back down here. Only a few seconds until Sokovan comes back down. So we're still trying to hold off. We're trying to play very defensive, not give them an inch here. I see that the Reggie's being ripped. I come in, and here, Ho-Oh is on Fire Spin. It's the one move that Ho-Oh has that gives him this shield that, I don't know, it seems pretty big to me. And now we're coming down, the Reggie's at half, Coldest World is ripping it, and these two are trying to zone, and they're about to find out exactly why Umbreon is considered the best defender in the game. Here is a Moonlight Prance. Bop. Boom. The Verdant Anger completely misses all of them because they were all already dead to the Blaziken and the Umbreon Unite move there. And unfortunately, Coldest World on this overpowered Pokemon of Ceruledge has no chance securing this from Blaziken and Solar Beam. Boop. All 5 opponents dead. We are playing so cleanly here, and now we're going to get a massive overscore of 26, if I did my math right. So here we're heading up to the top because we see there's nothing else to do. I get this idea a little bit late to just check. My X speed is almost back, so I can pretty freely check to see if this goal is empty to try and dunk my 40. At this point I have all my stacks. I just wanted to see if we could damage that goal significantly to the point where a stalemate will favor us in the late game. I don't see the opportunity, so I'm going to pick up this Baltoy before we get to the top objective. Here, something a little unfortunate happens is I didn't expect that as soon as Pomoni returned, the two of them were going to try and surge our goal here. And I didn't notice it until the second I was already recalling the base. Sokovan tries to stop him here, but he can't stop the points from raining in. Unfortunately, they go in, and I get a little worried because there's 3 of them. Coldest World is also down there. They destroy our goal. Not too upset about that. It gives us catch-up experience. And here, I thought Sokovan was staying down there to get the catch-up experience. Judging by his movements, I think he was actually expecting more of a push, and so he was just defending to make sure that they didn't move forward into our second goal. But the rest of us are here ready to take this top Reggie, and we just saw 3 of them at the bottom, right? So I'm going to try and zone these 2 opponents that I'm seeing for the very first time this game, which are Politoed Main on the Gyarados and Violet Snake on the Espeon. I'm also seeing our allies for the first time, actually, and so I mentioned in the previous video that Umbreon's not very good at zoning because the only thing I have is the little push from the second instance of Foul Play. Ari is playing a much better zoning Pokemon with that Sing. Now, unfortunately, I can't stop Unpaid Rent and Coldest World from sneaking past through the middle, so I'm just going to have to hope that we have better secure over there than they do. And over here, we're going to try and stop the Gyarados and Espeon from making a move here. So really good combo, really nice Starlight Recital right there. I do love that move. And so I have to come back in. Unfortunately, Violet Snake takes out Ari there, but I'm able to double Foul Play and take out Politoed Main. We do end up securing the Reggie. I'm trying to throw Wishes out there into the pit to keep our Blaziken and Tyranitar alive. And at this point, with the amount of deaths that have happened, our opponents can no longer contest us. We are free to push and see where we can go. Now from here, one of the things that I like to do is always check the jungle, because as one of our opponents, I'm trying to get into their shoes, into their minds, they're going to want to defend this, because if it walks into their goal, not only are they potentially losing that goal straight up, but we might be able to get a really nice overscore, because we don't have to sit there and wait until the loading bar to score. If we send the goal to like 5 and we have 40, it boom, instantly scored. So they want to make that possibility as awkward as possible for us. And so because I know that they know that, I am going to try and go into their jungle to see if, with that distraction that was created, I can steal some of their what would be guaranteed experience. And I do run into the Ceruledge here, of all things. So, because I have Sockavin with me, I do not mind pushing in here. And in fact, I'm super aggressive with this Moonlight Prance because I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, I definitely have this before the Ray fight anyway, so I might as well just do it now. Even though, technically speaking, what I literally got out of that Unite move was super minimal. The momentum that I was able to retain with it could end up being pretty big. You can see Blaziken chasing Coldest World here, and I both did not react quickly enough to this and didn't have Foul Play off of cooldown, so he's unfortunately going to make a quick getaway. And it's around this time that Violet Snake and Politoed main take out the Regieleki, and so they're all descending. And Sockavin continued going up when Pomoni was coming on the Ho-Oh down to protect the Ceruledge. So now I'm getting a little bit nervous, because I'm here still trying to steal the farm, but I saw Sockavin, who was carrying the most XP on our team, going up into that fight. And I know there's 4 enemies up there, so that was making me sweat for a bit, but somehow he makes it out. And we're in communication, so I'm saying, hey, be really careful, are you dead? And he was saying, no, I'm fine, I made it out, I couldn't get any kills, but I didn't let myself get killed. And that's fantastic. That could have been catastrophic. While we were doing all of that, Ari and Thundertoes were down here taking this Regieleki, which is even more experience for us, and now we're going to try and play around with conserving this experience. Unfortunately, we have to play the mini-game of trying not to let this Dragon Current take down Thundertoes and take all of that XP that he's carrying. Which isn't as much as it was before, but compared to what Politoed on the Gyarados has, that would be a lot. So here, he's coming up. He has a big shield from the Dragon Current, which I cannot steal because I used my Moonlight Prance earlier. So at this point, I have 2 weapons. I have to land the Wish on the Venusaur, and I have to Foul Play the Gyarados away from him. I kind of mess up the Foul Play, but the Wish does come off, and then we barely kill the Gyarados before Thundertoes himself goes down. I was afraid he was going to die to one of the birds here, and I was a little bit slow on this Wish too. But luckily, we were not punished. So here, Ari, I didn't notice, had called out Help Me. I don't really agree with their play here because our opponents have the jump pad, but I'm pretty sure they had an X speed on, and that's why they tried for that, because they knew they had a getaway card. So the reason I'm in the jungle here is because it's really, really important for me to show up to the Ray fight with my Unite move. It's not the fastest charging Unite move in the world, Moonlight Prance, and so I really want to get these knockouts on wild Pokemon to bump up that timer on recovery. So the one thing I'm looking at right here is that K-Twist is all the way up there at the Regieleki, and no one is with him. Tyranitar has okay Rip, but I don't know if it's okay enough to... Okay, he might do it in 15 seconds, but if any opponent goes up there and contests him, that's a really dangerous situation, especially if multiple of them show up. That's a dead Tyranitar, and he might not be able to get any kills back. So that's a little scary. And here, I think I overstay my welcome. I had no reason to go after this Baltoy. I think I'm looking at my level 13, thinking that's going to be really nice. You know what's not going to be really nice is having a dead Tyranitar at the Ray fight. So I should have gone up to protect K-Twist. Luckily, this player is pretty clever, and he left long before he was actually in danger of dying. And now we're at a very similar situation than we were a game or 2 ago, where we have this Regieleki walking into our Tier 1 goal, but we also have a Rayquaza spawning. So what do? I think the principled play right here is we have to go to the Ray Pit. We have to give them this Regieleki crash. And here our opponents have already shown up, but this time it's the usual suspects who are at the fight first. So I'm coming in here, and I see the fight has already started. 4 of them are over here on this side of the screen. Meanwhile, the player with the strongest dive, Coldest, which I don't know where he went, but he's going after Thundertoes here. He's definitely after the Venusaur. I think he's right here. And unfortunately, I kind of let Thundertoes die here. I go straight into the pit because I see 4 of them. I say, like, even if we lose the Venusaur, winning the Ray is winning the game right now. And so now everyone is here. Coldest is soloing Thundertoes, but the other 8 players in the game are all converging on this Rayquaza pit. And so I'm going to try and move them with Foul Play and try to secure with Moonlight Prance, which I miss, but K-Twist gets it on the Tyranitar. I don't know if he ejected over the pit or if that was one of his moves, maybe Sand Tomb that lets him jump. But either way, we had a lot of secure here, even without the Solar Beam. We had a Blaziken, and right here, as soon as the Ray goes down, I'm watching Ari on the Wigglytuff down here, and they pop an immediate Starlight Recital right here. which is the final nail in the coffin for our opponents. Because now even any chance that they had at ripping our ray shields and stopping us from scoring is gone, A, because they're dead. But even before that, B, because now they have to get through the Starlight Recital shield that's on every single one of their opponents, which is us, before they can even start hacking away at the Rayquaza shield. So that was a really good play by Ari there. Clearly a player that's very experienced on Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, of course, one of my favorite Pokemon. Here we go to score, but we're not going to get a chance. We're going to get that concede from the opponents. Had we lost the Rayquaza in that flip, I think there's a good chance we might have been okay. And part of the reason that I think that is because at the time, so right here we see the Tyranitar securing the Rayquaza, but I think right before it does, I want to count how many deaths showed up on the screen before the Rayquaza was counted as done. It was actually none of them. Okay, so I could be wrong here, but if you look at the HP bar on all of our Pokemon, including mine, which is the green bar right here in the middle, I think that there was a good chance that we could have actually ripped away the opponent's shields, especially because we had a Tyranitar doing true damage to them. As soon as the shields go down, they're a lot easier to KO. I could be wrong, but I think we had a chance even without this pretty lucky flip. But of course, all of our allies did a really good job putting themselves in the position that would cause us to win. And of course, the stats do demonstrate that throughout most of that game, we were the ones getting most of the kills and assists. Maybe not so much the scores. The opponents did pretty well to keep up with us on score. And that was the third match. We switched to Venusaur. It ended up looking really good. K-Twist and Wigglytuff, a little bit of an unconventional top lane, but they knew what they were doing. They were really, really good allies. Strong contenders for the best allies we had this tournament, I'm not going to lie. And of course, our opponents were on really powerful Pokemon. They really gave us a scare at the Ray fight, but they could not take the undefeated streak from the usual suspects. So, I think after seeing the stats pulled up here, we are ready to move on to the fourth match of the tournament. All right. We are back with game number 4 from the Rayquaza Cup. This time we are paired with Moshi and RJ, who are going to be taking Delphox and Eldegoss to the top lane. One thing that I had not realized happened in real time was that RJ actually removed an XP share that at first was on their Eldegoss and replaced it with another pretty typical Eldegoss item. Now, I don't know what the reasoning behind this was. If you're laning with a Delphox, I would have definitely liked the experience share. Maybe they're a believer in just one experience share per team needed, or something like that. But regardless, they are laning together. Hopefully they're in communication with each other, and we're just going to try our best to win this game. Now, the bans, I skipped past the draft section, but Charizard did receive a ban, as did Ho-Oh and Gyarados, as well as Scizor, which means that not only did Blaziken go through as usual, but Ceruledge did as well yet again, which means we are going to see another grudge match between Blaziken and Ceruledge in the jungle. The two extremely powerful all-rounders in this meta. But speaking of powerful all-rounders, our enemy team also picked up Mimikyu and Zacian. So they're going to be very strong in close quarters combat. They are also going to be rather bulky, having picked up both Slowbro and Wigglytuff. They've got a little bit of a double tank special going on, which we don't mind very much because we have both Delphox and Venusaur to deal a lot of damage from range, and the enemies don't seem to have a lot of range themselves. We do have to look out for random dives. They don't have speedsters per se, but some of their all-rounders can dive into us pretty well, such as Ceruledge and Mimikyu. Alright, so without further ado, let's see how this match goes. The laning phase starts off pretty well. I always like to get around 4 energy here. It doesn't matter too much because my ally is not stacking in this case. However, if we were, I don't want anyone with 6 because that's a little trickier to stack with, so making sure that we both get on 4 is just good practice overall. So our enemies are going to go contest that farm from Thundertoes while I'm going to go get this stack. Very similar to what happened in the last game. Stack secured. So unlike the last game here, where I peeled off and tried to help secure in the middle, at this point I'm trying to peel them off of Thundertoes by aggressively going after the enemy farm and forcing them to come back and defend it, which does seem to work. Unfortunately, I'm not able to secure that, but I do have my X speed, which means I get away for free. From here, it's business as usual. I managed to secure that. Do I peel off here? No. So unlike last game where I tried to see if I could stack with an opportunity, here I just stay to help secure that Indeedee, which was very important. We really want an Ivysaur and an Umbreon early, even though I only have one stack. But here it's important to not be too aggressive because my X speed is on cooldown, which means if I get caught out, even if I do stack, it should be pretty easy to kill me on the crackback. Especially if I don't stack, because if I do, I'm going to turn into Umbreon and I have Foul Play as a little bit of a disengage option. So one thing that I'm doing better than last game is last game I tried to stack right before the middle pack of birds showed up, and as a result I was at half health or less going into them. But now at full HP, I can very easily help contest these Swablu. There we go. And I didn't last hit, which means I still have 5, which means easy stacking opportunity. Now here, Nexel sees this as an opportunity to try and get a stack with 16. I kind of disagree. I didn't think that was a very good idea, and we demonstrated why. Now that this Zacian is alone, even less of a chance that he can stop me from stacking. Oh, however, I do have 10 energy, so that didn't work super well. I hesitated a little bit too much. I think my idea was good, but as soon as I saw them go in, I should have started retreating. Here, this is a funny play. So it all started when I failed to score 10 on that goal twice, right? And I'm running away at this point. Why am I going up here? Well, the last thing I want is to give them XP from killing me and have them spiral that momentum into going after Thundertoes, potentially killing him, and then scoring on our goal. That's going to be a huge snowball situation. So what I'm going to do instead is say, okay, you want to kill me? Then you're going to have to follow me as far away from my partner and goal as I can get. And so that's why I'm going up here. Now, I do pick up the Salic Berry. I run past Nexel, who dropped off and stayed at near his goal. I run past Rudius Drago on the Zacian, and here, right at around the 8-minute mark, kudos to Daddy209, he's already ready for these mid-Swablu Altaria on the Ceruledge. I'm going to run past him, and I continue running up. I don't want anything to do with that Ceruledge, and I run past the Slowbro. And now I'm thinking, wait a second, I just saw 4 of them? Is it possible that I can make it all the way to this top goal and drop my 10 off there and get my 3rd stack? There's our Eldegoss, and no, I get spotted by the Furry Edmei on Mimikyu and he kills me. But it is very funny that I ran all the way across the country to try and get that stack, and it never ended up happening. Now, one thing that our opponents did super well here is they sent a lot of Pokemon to the center. And I do think that they got a lot of the birds, because the first person that was there was Daddy209 on the Ceruledge. We did trade kills, and luckily their goal was undefended, so I finally got my 3rd stack, and this was an easy one because I have my X speed. Rudius Drago had no chance to chase me down there, even on a Zacian. We pick up yet another secure. Very important that we got the mid-farm. Beautiful Solar Beam into everyone right there. Again, now we're not as over-leveled as we were in the last game. Thundertoes is level 7, but so was Rudius Drago there. That was a really nice foul play that thankfully didn't get Nexel out of range of Thundertoes' Solar Beam. So now with both of them dead, we're going to take their farm, continue dealing damage to their base. I'm going to see if I can get another stack right here. I should be able to get this one no problem, but the next one will be more challenging. 5 stacks is really a really good spot to be in, though. Oh, one thing that I hadn't processed. See, Thundertoes was really good at making these decisions in real time in the tournament. And here, what he decided was, okay, our opponents have Mimikyu, they have Ceruledge, they have Zacian, they have no range. I don't think I necessarily need Sludge Bomb. I'm going to take Giga Drain for this, so that if I get dived upon, I can actually heal myself back a little bit and not be so defenseless. And so he's going to be on Giga Drain Solar Beam as opposed to Sludge Bomb Solar Beam on this game. So we are rotating top, possibly giving up the bottom. Oh no, I am going back down to defend the bottom here, because we think that we don't need both of us down there. As long as I'm here, I may not be able to win the fight, but my presence should be able to scare them off of the objective here. And I steal 2 birds with that first foul play, which is excellent. Now I mess up here. That was actually not the worst Unite move in the world. But I needed to retreat into that goal. What I thought was that even though I didn't steal any of their shields, and I knew I didn't steal any of their shields, that the passive healing from the Moonlight Prance would have kept me alive here. That was a grave miscalculation, and I am higher level than these two. I could not afford to give them that level. But unfortunately, here's the Moonlight Prance. I try and wish myself way too slow. And even as I was dying, I was trying to foul play into them. I really needed to go toward that goal. I would have stayed alive if I had gone toward the goal. But instead, I give them the XP from my death, and I give them the XP from scoring on us. That was a really, really bad mistake, one of my worst from this tournament. Now, I do see Nexel scoring on our goal. I'm hoping that Rudius Drago doesn't have enough rip to take down the Reggie before I get there, which I am correct about. However, my secure isn't fantastic. I do give it a really nice effort, and this time I've learned my lesson. I turned on my X speed and head straight for the goal. I'm not going to fight them outside my goal in a 1v2. But I do steal that Ndidi back. It was our Ndidi. It was on our side of the map, so I steal it back. And now I'm going to see if I can get that third stack. I don't think this was the optimal play. There was a lot of farm there. I should have just gone for that. Oh, and here's Sokovan, who has been ganking the top lane more so than the bottom lane, trying to get that Delphox leveled up, and we do have it. So I believe the next batch of birds is at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. There they are. I don't know if I remembered this in real time in the game, but here's my scoring opportunity. I noticed I kept doing that. I get right to the edge of the goal where it doesn't count as me being in the goal, and then I can't score, so I have to walk in a little bit. Now, one thing that was cool here is I forced Nexel's Starlight Recital when he wasn't close to anyone. So, let's view that again. My wish goes off. I unite there. No, wait a second. I didn't go far back enough. What I'm trying to point out is that I score here, I chase Nexel out, and then they turn on the Recital when they're not next to their teammate, Daddy209, which is really good for us. Unfortunately, something still goes wrong here. I had an opportunity to Moonlight Prance the Wigglytuff, and I choose not to. I think that was a valid option, because the fact that the Cerulege didn't get that shield from that Wiggly Unite move means that I still think we win this fight, even on their goal in a 3v2. So I am not too worried about the shield on that Wigglytuff. Unfortunately, what happens here is a third member comes down. We pile up here, and then Daddy209 initiates his own Unite move. And this is where I should have reacted right with the Moonlight Prance ready here. Because this Unite move is going to kill Thundertoes, which removes a lot of our damage. And Sokovan was out there being crowd controlled, and he's lost a lot of HP. So now is when I choose to Moonlight Prance, but I reacted way too late, and Rudius Drago has already come down. So this was really poor macro for my part as well. I try my best to foul play them away from Sokovan, but there was so much damage dealt that Nexel was able to finish him off, and that is terrible for us. We lost two of our really high-level allies. They're pushing into us in the top lane. They're pushing a little bit too far, so we are going to be able to go defend this pretty easily. Yeah, easy cleanup there. Unfortunately, Nexel's getting a clean score of 40 on us at the bottom, but we can't afford to pay attention to that. We have to keep pressing. Again, see here, I have all of my stacks at this point. What I'm trying to do is deal as much damage to this goal as possible, because I didn't want the Regieleki to come in and get the tiniest little overscore on it. In hindsight, this goal was at, what was it, 21? And the Regieleki is going to deal 20. If I had processed that, because in my mind I was saying hopefully someone else can score but me here, but if I had left it at 21, the Regieleki brings it to 20, and then someone with a big, who's carrying more than 10, could have broken that. So that wasn't even that clean of a play from me there. And this is why this game is hard. Like, there are so many things that you know that you just can't think of all of them at once while the game is going on. So this is a little bit sloppy as well. Everyone was in a little bit of an awkward position. Right from the very beginning of this fight, I'm trying to get a wish off on Moshi, on the Delphox. And it's just a really awkward angle that I can't lock onto them very easily. Unfortunately, foul play was on cooldown there, and Daddy 209 gets away. Alright, we got the Slowbro. I had to wish myself because no one else was in range and I was taking damage, and then finally I landed that wish on Moshi. And we easily dispatched this Regieleki, trying to get extra KOs on the opponents. Ooh, I set up a nice Solar Beam there, but Starlight Recital is already back, puts those shields on the allies, and we're forced to retreat. Thundertoes goes down again. Unfortunate. So here I actually call out that I'm going to the bottom path. I'm really hoping that Moshi can defend that gold by themselves over there, and I'm really hoping that Sokoven can survive this fight against Daddy 209 on the Ceruledge, and he can, but look at that HP that he's at. Okay, I am able to land the Wish on the Blaziken. We take down the Regirock. That was fantastic. And now it's already almost raid time. We go in and try and take some of these birds from Zacian, and we get met with the Furry Edmei, who I hadn't seen much in this fight. He is on play rough, but he locks onto me, which is completely fine. I'm the tank. I'm supposed to take those. And here, this can't have been what he was aiming for, but he actually unites the Umbreon instead of the Blaziken. And had this happened in reverse, this situation would have been really good for our opponents. But because I was the one who ate the Mimikyu Unite, now they're in trouble. They do force out my Moonlight Prance yet again, which is bad, because I could have used that to counter Starlight Recital. We take down the Mimikyu, and we both go down, but we wound a lot of them, and they're out of position. Now, unfortunately, Moshi's over at the top lane, 34, so that's what I left it at 10, so that's a 24 overscore. That's not bad. We could have gotten a little bit more. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. That goal was sticking out like a sore thumb, right? That's why it's sometimes a little dangerous to have your tier 2s up by the Ray fight. So because that Delphox wasn't in position to take advantage here, we don't conserve the best advantage we could have going into the Ray fight. However, time spent is not the worst thing in the world for us, because I'm coming back and so is Sokoven. Nexel scores yet again in our bottom goal, but at this point we weren't caring too much about that. We know that this fight is going to be about the Ray. And here, I really think Nexel messes up here. I think you needed to have been next to a teammate in order for that Starlight Recital to have been a better deal. So Starlight Recital actually puts shields on all of the allies that are within your range. But at the time that I connected with Nexel, they were already using that Starlight Recital, and so Delta over here on the Slowbro wasn't able to receive that shield, and as a result, he's going to be far easier to take down than he otherwise would be. He's already down. Now, unfortunately, because of the fight at the bottom, I didn't have my Unite move to steal that Recital shield. And that's alright. Here we're trying to rip, really hoping that no one shows up to try and steal. There are our opponents, but we have too much secure on our side. Thank goodness. If the Furry Edmei had stolen in there with Mimikyu, granted, doesn't have the greatest secure, that Pokemon. We would have certainly lost, but it was in our favor there. I don't know how close Sokoven's shield, or Thundertoes' shield, was to be broken. I don't think it was close enough for that Scald to have done it, but it doesn't hurt, of course, that Delta missed the Scald on Thundertoes. I was coming to try and zone him, but I wasn't getting there on time. And of course, Thundertoes came up here because I called that I didn't have 50 and therefore wasn't breaking the goal. So this is going to be a massive overscore of 90, and now we're pretty much done. Even this 100 that Daddy's scoring on us in our home base isn't going to matter much. Both Sokoven and Thundertoes are there to defend. Oh, in fact, he didn't even score the 100. So I hadn't noticed that in the game, actually. So the reason that I'm staying here is because I'm trying to get another score off. Because in my mind, we just took 100 from that Ceruledge, and we had taken 100 from Nexel's Wigglytuff earlier. So I am frantically trying to score something in order to make sure that we're ahead. I didn't have to do that. If I had been a better communicator, I could have told my allies the reason why I was staying here to try and get another score, and they could have told me, no, the Ceruledge didn't score. But we don't end up getting punished for it. I get my 38 anyway. Alright, that was pretty clean. We got rid of the important Pokemon on the opposing side that could steal the Rayquaza, and it's another clean victory from the usual suspects. Thank you very much to RJ and Moshi for the help in this one. Here are the stats. The Furry Edmei was kind of causing havoc in the top lane over there, judging by the kill count. Twice as many kills as anyone else in this lobby. Not bad, not bad. Mimikyu is a threat. Blaziken and Ceruledge are really strong, but people tend to forget about Mimikyu. Alright, let's see what happens in the next game. Alright guys, this is going to be the last match for this video. This is match number 5 of Rayquaza Cup number 10. The usual suspects participated in, and look who it is. It's Moshi and RJ again. We actually got paired up with them back-to-back in 2 different games, which I'm not too upset about. They played pretty decently in the last match, and now we've got some scary-looking opponents. This is a very strong late-game team, and judging by the clan marks on the names of these team members, these aren't just people who happen to be queuing with each other for this tournament. They know each other well. We've got BBL Drowsy, BBL Calyx, and then VC on Ollie Bean and Blue Poke, and Johto Jero, who's also with them, who stole Sokovin's Blaziken. They got the first pick this time around. I'm assuming Ceruledge got banned out, and Blaziken was first picked. And this is why Sokovin's going to be on the Leafeon this time around. Now, going in, I thought that our plan B was going to be Urshifu. Really quick history on me and Leafeon is this Pokemon and I have beef. Not in the actual game while we're playing, but just in terms of the meta. I think Leafeon is the most overrated Pokemon in the history of Pokemon Unite. I think people were calling for him to be nerfed at times when he was actively bad. And I think that people were thinking he was the most powerful Pokemon in the game when he was just fine. People just get really mad at how strong Leafeon is in the early game, how good he is against the lane birds, that nobody seems to pay attention to how terrible this Pokemon is in the late game. So much so that every time I would get a Leafeon on my team 2 seasons ago, I would just lose the game, and every time one would show up on my opponent's team, it was an easy win. It was simple as that. Like, the early game and the middle game didn't matter. You were playing without a 5th Pokemon in the late game, practically, because you have to be super intelligent to be able to make Leafeon work in the late game, and that's something that a lot of people, even those mechanically very skilled with Leafeon, like Sokovin, as you can tell by this blue ribbon over here, there are way more things that can go wrong than the ones that can go right at the Ray fight. And sometimes you just really have to recognize before the Ray fight happens what your game plan is at the Ray fight. And unfortunately, this is something that might end up biting us later in this game because we didn't come prepared to use Leafeon in this tournament. So, I guess, so that we're not spending too much time, everything else is identical on our side from where we were before. Yet again, RJ does not have an experience share on the Eldegoss. They did okay before, though. So I'm going to skip straight to the laning phase over here. Whoops. So it's pretty standard here. I score. I can't really figure out what to do here, so I end up making 3 different decisions and cycling between them. I'm trying to waste as much time here. I consumed both of their berries in case we want to push. This time that is kind of relevant. I make a really admirable attempt here to steal. For a second I thought I did, and that must be why I went toward the goal. I do believe Thundertoes is going to secure that mid Indeedee. I wasn't able to see it from my screen, but judging by the fact that no bubbles came up at the bottom, we got it. But there we see the Dragonair. So I'm coming down. Hopefully they don't get our jungler. Drowsy on this jungler. Oh my gosh, they almost killed Thundertoes. But I'm here. Luckily, Drowsy on the Dragonair goes down, but unfortunately so does Sokoven. And here we're trying to kill Calyx, but Bulbasaur and Eevee, they have such little damage. Oh my gosh. And unfortunately, Blue Poke secures this over Thundertoes' Razor Leaf, which is crucial. That would have gotten my Umbreon. At least we have Ivysaur. Sokoven comes back down, and so does Drowsy here. I'm running to get a stack. I turned on the X speed, which means I'm suiciding for this one. If I had left the X speed for my retreat, then I might not have made it there in the first place. I really wanted this stack, and I gave up my life here. And Sokoven, I was trying to call out for him to retreat, and he does make it out. Leafeon is pretty speedy. But, I don't know if that was the greatest idea or not. I know that our team composition needs to be strong in the early game because we're going to need a higher level by the mid game. Now over here, we show up actually a little bit late to the midbirds. Luckily we come with a lot of people, but Johto Jero and Ollie Bean were already here. This is the first time we're going to see Ollie Bean, and I realized that there's a really good chance to catch him out here. Now unfortunately, being the tank, he's the one that's not worth as much HP, but we're going to take our opportunity. I'm going to foul play this way, separate him from his teammates, and then the Razor Leaf kills him. Would have been nice to have trapped one of the other 2, but I think one of them is going to go down right here. Finally, we take down Blue Poke, this formidable bottom lane Glaceon. I'm going to get my third stack. That's really good. Unfortunately, Thundertoes does not have a window to score his 30, and hopefully he doesn't die here. He ejects to get back to safety, and where is Sokoven? He needs to get back here. He's carrying too much HP. RJ has rotated bottom, but so has Ollie and Jotaro. That was nice pressure, but oh man, Ollie secures some of those birds anyway. A little slow to click wish here. One of the things that I definitely did wrong in this match that I'm realizing upon seeing the replays is I need to be far more trigger happy with the wish. Look at how long this wish is sitting on my screen without being used. Everyone's HP bar is not full, so I need to get on that a little more. I could have gotten off 2 wishes in the time that I got off 1. Here there's a lot of people, and that solar beam was awesome going into them. Now here, this is an insane play by Ollie. I don't know if this was coincidental or if they were trying to get this, but this is the wood hammer of the century right here. It smashes all of us, forces us all to the other side of the wall where we can't hit him back. He retreats. Unfortunately, he comes back and gets killed. Jotaro dives in and kills Sokoven, but we get him back. Trying to kill Blue Poke before he does in Thundertoes, and we managed to do it. Oh my goodness. And this game felt like it was moving a million miles per hour. Couldn't concentrate on what the next step was. I missed Thundertoes with the wish here, but that's not the end of the world. I could have used some HP too. Here, Umbreon's weakness is going to show again. I really don't have very much zoning capabilities. So one thing I tried to do here is I tried to see if I could pressure them by forcing them back to defend, by threatening to score 30 on their goal. But it doesn't work because there's 3 of them. What does work, however, is Thundertoes' Verdant Anger that ends up blowing up everyone right here. That was kind of beautiful. So Ollie down here with us. Calyx and Jotaro come down from the top. And boom, they get blown up by Sokoven and Thundertoes here. And now we can go try and get some scores in. Ooh, we got the Glacial Stage by Blue Poke, but it's not going to stop the goal from going down. Thundertoes almost goes down. Oh man, that wish, I needed to get it off a little bit faster. We could have lost the Venusaur there. I did a little bit better stepping in front of him at the end there. Now we're going up to the top, but I decide maybe I want to defend this instead. So I run up to get the wish on Thundertoes. I think we shouldn't need any more help, especially since the Reggie is already secured. So what are my options here? I'm turning on my X speed so that I can check out my options faster. One of them is to score 30 down here. That's a really good start. It's not the easiest thing in the world scoring on these goals, so getting some early damage on them is going to help in case we end up with a stalemate situation. Here I'm trying to pick up their farm. Jotaro comes in, tries to secure with Overheat, and he does secure with Overheat. I thought I had foul played the farm out of his range, but apparently the range is longer than what it would seem, because that Pokeball did not come to me, so I did not secure the farm. Picking up some energy here, see if I can turn it into my 5th stack at some point. I'm going back to defend this goal. We do manage to successfully take their top goal, the enemy's top goal, so this is going well, but remember, it was always going to go well. We have an Eldegoss, we have an Umbreon, we have a Venusaur, or sorry, a Leafeon in the jungle. This is the part of the game that we were supposed to excel in, and now this is where the hard part starts. Now they've got all of their evolutions. They've got a Dragonite, and what do they have in the top lane? That Blaziken. So now we're just going to farm up, but we're not going to leave the bottom lane because the objective here comes up first. And unfortunately, Blue Poke and Drowsy the Dragonite are up there trying to kill our allies, and they do manage to take down Moshi. So here we're going to try and rip this Regis as fast as possible. Our zoning isn't great, so what we have to do is get this off the map before our opponents have a chance to contest, which is exactly what happened. That Blaziken is better secure than most of us. And now we're going to head up. I see that Aselgor come up on our opponent's jungle, but I don't want to try for it. Let's make sure that we can help over here. But they already take the Regieleki, which is not the end of the world. If that Regieleki doesn't crash, then we're good. And this is going to be a little bit of a taste of how good our team fighting can be into the opponent's team fighting. Here's another Glacial Stage by Blue Poke over here. I'm the only one here. I'm soaking up the damage. That's totally fine if I eat this Glaceon Unites, so that my allies don't have to. We still have RJ's Cotton Cloud Crash, and we still have Sokoven's Emerald 2-Step. So we might be okay here. Oh, and there's my Moonlight Prance. That's going to flip the script over here. I eat some of these shields, and we get all of these KOs. That's beautiful. This Regioleki's not going to stand a chance. Oh, I failed to realize Blue Poke going after Thundertoes here And he gets the kill right before my foul play is able to secure Blue Poke. That's super unfortunate. We really could have gone without losing the Venusaur there. But such is life. Well done by Blue Poke there, noticing that he had a shot to kill one of us and taking it. So we're going to push in, see if those birds are still there, but I meet the Dragonite first on the way. We're going to pull him back to our base. We don't want to fight a Dragonite out in the open, especially since we saw he's carrying backup. I'm doing a little better to get my wishes off as soon as I'm able to. There's no Reggie coming up. Now, I think what I realize here is, I really want this Moonlight Prance back by the Ray fight. So let me see if there's farms somewhere that I can pick off. And I start heading toward the top to see maybe I can get that Claydol, that Baltoy up there. There's a fight over here. So we can take out Drowsy before the Ray fight. That's pretty big, and we do. Calyx has nothing left to heal here, so they have to X-Speed out of here. That's pretty nice. We didn't take down the Blissey, but we took out their X-Speed in case we split them up later. Now here the red buff has come up. This is really risky. Sokovin's telling them to wait a second before fighting because we don't have our Umbreon. I'm communicating. I missed the second foul play. I'm kicking myself over watching this replay because I could have taken down this red buff like 2 seconds sooner than I end up doing, which could have cost us the fact that I didn't. RJ's trying to get a cheeky back cap here of 80. They get it. Okay, so here is where we have a chance to execute our battle plan. Now, what is the plan? We have to recognize our matches. What Unite moves do we have access to? We have access to the Emerald 2-Step, we have access to now my Moonlight Prance, and we have, most importantly of all, access to Thundertoes' Verdant Anger. That is by far our highest damage output right here. Moshi is about to get to level 12, that's fine. RJ is probably at least level 12 because they just scored 80, and they're coming back. Unfortunately, we don't have our support currently. We do luckily have my heals. So, what can be done here? Sokovin has a chance to assassinate someone with that Emerald 2-Step, but they can't kill any target. Blissey is going to be hard to isolate. Emerald 2-Step cannot KO Dragonite, and it can't KO Trevenant. So, if Sokovin can land on Blue Poke, or who's the other one? Johto on Blaziken, then maybe we can take one of those out. And it's going to be really important to take out one of the opponents before we start losing Pokemon. Because some of these pieces will start to fall really, really quickly if we lose our damage, like Moshi or Thundertoes here. That's a lot of damage that we lose that we're going to need to kill this Dragonite if it's having heal supports. So, one of the things that goes wrong immediately here is Ollie play. He turns on an X-Speed, rushes straight to us. Thundertoes' analysis after the match claims that we needed to hold them right here in this pit, cause them to force us to back up, but holding them in this pit where we could combo them from Verdant Anger, Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb, boom, deal all of the damage, kill them all. So I have my Moonlight Prance up, but in a panic, I don't recognize what our situation is. I need to be holding this up for what? Our opponents have Trevenant, Blaziken, Glaceon, Dragonite, and Blissey. This Moonlight Prance needs to counter the Bliss Assistance. But I don't recognize that because we came into this Ray fight super late, we're a little scrambled, Eldegoss isn't with us, there are so many things going on, this match is moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. We don't notice things like, oh, we need to keep them in this alleyway right here. I need to save my Moonlight Prance for the Bliss Assistance. Sokovin needs to target the Glaceon or the Blaziken. And we need to keep this Delphox alive to zone out the really strong melee Pokemon like Trevenant and Dragonite. So here, what's going to happen is Ollie Bean X speeds. This absolute chat on Trevenant, barely at half HP, he dives straight into us, throws out this Horn Leech straight through the middle, carving us open. Now Thundertoes is at the top, Sokovin is at the bottom. Moshi and I are getting pushed farther from our support, who's still coming back from over there. And now Ollie Bean just has to hope that his team can follow up here. Because right now he's surrounded by all of us. So if we all target Ollie Bean right here, that's going to be a really good path to survival. And his team's job is to make sure that we cannot do that without getting punished. And we're going to see that his teammate right here from the bottom, where that ice just shot off into Sokovin, is trying to constrict us from a different angle. This is where Blue Poke is about to come in. So the hammer goes off, it stuns the Delphox and the Umbreon. I didn't have my passive up. Here we're going to see Sokovan aerial acing away to escape Blue Poke, and he's going northward toward the Dragonite. So this is pretty bad, because Sokovan is running from the Glaceon into the Dragonite instead of the tree. I can't do much to this tree. I'm surviving the tree, but he is harassing Thundertoes and Moshi. That's really, really, really bad. Those two are a necessity to keep alive if we have any hope of killing this Dragonite. None of the other 3 members of our team can deal with this Dragonite as long as Calyx on the Blissey is still alive. That Dragonite is practically immortal without Thundertoes and Moshi. I keep pausing this, but the Eldegoss is still not here. He finally made it to the Ray Pit. We're getting constricted. The Dragonite's up here. The Blissey's coming in through here. Glaceon is down here. And we still can't deal with this Trevenant. This Trevenant is about to launch a Cursed Forest out here. And that's going to deal even more damage and more stun to Thundertoes. Moshi's over here, I think, either running away from the Glaceon, running away from the Trevenant, or both. And he's going to try and cut off. Finally, Jero shows up right here behind Calyx on the Blissey. And Sokovan is somewhere up here off screen fighting the Dragonite. So now, finally, Thundertoes gets a chance to turn around and start launching some attacks in the way of the opponents. But the Solar Beam is just going to crash into the newly created shield from the Cursed Forest. Now I have a chance to unite here, but I don't catch it in time. And so Solar Beam already takes away the shield, so now if I Moonlight Prance, I'm not going to eat it. And right here, we're seeing the Glacial Stage start appearing from Blue Poke. This is going to be even more damage that's forcing Thundertoes farther and farther back. The farther back he gets, the farther he is from Sokovan, who's fighting the Dragonite alone up here. This is not a matchup he's going to win, not without the Venusaur's damage. And Blue Poke and Ollie Bean are doing a fantastic job of making sure this Venusaur gets chased farther and farther from the relevant areas of the pit. So now here, finally, the latest Moonlight Prance ever, which is going to land on no one. I'm over here. I'm flying up into the air. Ollie Bean already Horn-Leeched Thundertoes this way. He's going to get off a Wood Hammer, almost killing Thundertoes, and I'm going to land on no one over here. Meanwhile, the Dragonite, Calyx goes over, throws him an egg or two, shakes off Sokovan's Emerald 2-step completely, because it landed on the wrong target, unfortunately. Leafeon cannot handle a Dragonite in the Ray fight. We had to look for either the Blaziken or the Glaceon there, and unfortunately, we lose that Emerald 2-step. And now Dragonite looks at the Leafeon over here, says, "I don't think I need to do anything to you. The main target right here is the Delphox." And unfortunately, now I'm over here jumping in the air. Thundertoes is over here. We are completely caught out of position. Finally, RJ gets into the Ray fight, and now he's being handled by the Blaziken. And Drowsy has free reign over this Delphox that was supposed to cause their team a lot of problems. Well, now the Delphox is getting deleted. Oh, he gets a shield from something. Oh, from RJ over here, the Cotton Guard. Super duper clutch, but unfortunately I think their moves were on timer. Can they get one off? No more fire spins. He gets chased down by the Outraged Dragonite after all. So I'm gonna jump over here. Why? I don't know. I honestly, I saw that Thundertoes was getting chased backward. I maybe should have chased the Trevenants trying to save our damage. I don't know why I did this. Honestly, our brains were scrambled. We were all completely scattered. We were losing control of this fight. And finally, Sokovan gets taken out by the Blaziken over there. And the Blaziken, now without having to deal with the Leafeon, Thundertoes finally wins the fight against Ollie Bean on the tree, which is going to be shown right here. But it's a little bit too late. Now, Johto has no one else to contend with, so he just goes to the inn, easily kills the Venusaur, and this is it. RJ and I have no damage left to kill anyone on their team. Our damage has been successfully carved out with a scalpel by our opponents, and now the only thing I can do is try for a steal, and we did not delete any of our opponents secure. I mean, this Dragonite's not on Hyper Beam, but they have Overheat from the Blaziken. And that is unfortunately going to be our downfall as I try and time my foul place here. And Overheat easily secures. So that was a really, really good Ray fight from our opponents. They were able to completely catch us off guard, and we were not able to formulate a plan at all. There was a world in which we could have won this match. We just simply didn't understand what our win condition was going into it. And of course, our opponents were highly competent. I do think the Ray fight would have been a little bit easier had we had Urshifu, and that's something that I did point out after this match. I don't think this was unwinnable with Leafeon, though. We just, like I said, there are much more lose conditions than win conditions at the Ray fight when you have Leafeon, and we just didn't take the time, based on how much pressure we were under, to try and figure out what our win conditions exactly were during this fight. So we don't concede up here for some reason, but it doesn't take too long for us to lose the match. And I didn't notice, but I ended up with 4 stacks. I think this might have been the only tournament match where I wasn't able to get all 6 stacks. So overall, these were really, really formidable opponents. It was a great match. We did what we could. I think there were a lot of ways that we could have won this match, even more that we could have lost. We didn't have an answer to their play at the end, and of course, this is what the scores were. Not even close. And yeah, kudos to our opponents here. Calyx, Drowsy, Jotaro, Blue Poke, and Ollie You guys were the usual suspects' first loss. And if you look at the numbers, we didn't do too badly. I mean, Leafeon's numbers do tend to look good. It just so happens that a lot of those don't come from the last 2 minutes. And our opponents did really well to keep that Delphox quiet, which was going to be important. Of course, the Delphox was really good into the triple all-rounder team from last game. A little bit less so against this team, where the Icy Wind Glaceon could actually strike from farther up. The Trevenant could dive straight into you and crowd control you before you had a chance to make any moves. We got good damage. Like I said, our numbers look good. It's just that the Ray fight was a complete disaster for us, and sometimes that happens. It's really important to be able to analyze exactly what went wrong so you can try and clean that up later. It's like I always say, it's the things that you did wrong are going to be more important to analyze than the things that you did right. And I certainly messed up on a few things here myself, and hopefully we'll be able to clean that up the rest of the tournament. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. There are 3 games left in this tournament, so be expecting that recap to come within the next few days. If you made it this far, love you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.